What if the one thing you wanted most came at the cost of everything else? The antique shop was tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city, its sign faded and barely legible. Clara had passed it dozens of times without noticing, but on this rainy afternoon, something drew her in. She couldn't explain it, a pull, a whisper at the edge of her thoughts, urging her to step inside. The shop was cluttered with relics of the past, tarnished candlesticks, cracked porcelain dolls, and shelves of dusty books. But it was the mirror that caught Clara's eye. It stood in the center of the room, its ornate, golden frame gleaming despite the dim light. The glass was pristine, almost unnaturally so, reflecting her image with perfect clarity. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said the shopkeeper, an elderly man with a voice as creaky as the floorboards. Clara nodded. "How much?" The man's eyes narrowed. "That mirror is special. It's said to grant your heart's deepest desire, but at a cost." Clara laughed nervously. "Isn't everything?" He didn't smile. "Take it if you want, but remember this. Never look into it after dark." She hesitated, but her curiosity won out. After haggling down the price, she carried the mirror home, its weight heavier than she expected. The mirror fit perfectly in Clara's bedroom, its gilded frame gleaming against the pale walls. That evening, as she unpacked her bags, she couldn't resist standing in front of it. "What's my deepest desire?" she whispered, almost mockingly. The reflection shimmered. Clara gasped as the image of her small, cluttered room morphed into something else. A luxurious penthouse, filled with elegant furniture and glowing with soft, golden light. She saw herself, dressed in a designer gown, her hair styled to perfection. On the table beside her was a pile of crisp $100 bills. "It's just my imagination," she said, stepping away. But deep down, she couldn't shake the image. The next morning, Clara woke to find an envelope on her nightstand. Inside was a check for $500, a payment for a freelance project she'd forgotten about. Over the next few days, more opportunities seemed to fall into her lap. A promotion at work, a raffle win, and even an invitation to an exclusive gala. Her life was transforming, just as the mirror had shown. She couldn't resist standing in front of it again. Each time, the visions grew grander: wealth, love, admiration. She was mesmerized, spending hours gazing into its depths, dreaming of the life she craved. But then, one night, she forgot the shopkeeper's warning. It was a stormy evening, the wind howling outside as Clara returned from the gala. She was exhilarated, dressed in a gown that cost more than her rent, her arms heavy with gifts and compliments from admirers. She stood before the mirror, her heart racing. "Show me more," she whispered. The glass shimmered, and for a moment, she saw herself surrounded by everything she had ever wanted. But then the image darkened, her reflection twisted, the beautiful Clara replaced by a hollow-eyed version of herself, her face pale and gaunt. "What?" Clara stepped back, her voice trembling. The figure in the mirror smiled, a slow, chilling grin. "You asked for everything. Now it's my turn." The room grew cold, and Clara's breath fogged the air. The figure reached out, its hand pressing against the glass. Slowly, impossibly, it began to emerge. Clara screamed, stumbling backward as the doppelganger stepped into the room, its movements jerky and unnatural. "You wanted my life," it said, its voice echoing with a hollow, metallic ring. "Now you'll take mine." The last thing Clara saw was her own terrified face reflected in the mirror as the doppelganger lunged. When Clara's neighbors entered her apartment the next day, they found it empty. The mirror stood in its usual place, its surface cracked and dull. The golden frame seemed to have tarnished overnight, its gleam replaced by a sickly, greenish hue. The antique shopkeeper shook his head when he heard the news. "She didn't listen," he muttered, closing up his shop. The mirror remains in Clara's apartment to this day, waiting for its next owner. And when they look into its depths, they'll see more than just their reflection. What would you have wished for if you owned the Mirror of Sorrows? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more haunting tales. Until next time, remember some desires are best left unfulfilled.